Alright folks, so welcome to the Prime Dungeon. I've started the first little bit of this dungeon and it's a big dungeon, so we've got a little ways to go on this. But I've started the first little bit on it. You can see the connections. 2 is connected to 3, is connected to 7, and you can see the jumps. We're obeying the rules. The rules, by the way, if you just roll over that little thing, it gives you a summary of the rules if you need them. But notice I've got all these rooms connected so far. And notice some of the things I've done here. Each room I've put the prime number plus its representation. And so it's easy to see that you can get from one to the other and verify that we're in fact correct. We just changed that second digit to get back and forth between the 5 room and the 7 room. Also, obviously connecting these things with two-way arrows here. That demonstrates the two-way passage. Okay, so we can get from one to the other. Walking along here, finally 29 branches off, so that's what this is. This is where you guys will start building, or one of the places you'll start continuing the dungeon. Find this number here and then continue and expand it. So that's the one place to start searching. I wanted to show you kind of how to enter more rooms into this dungeon. So we're going to pick up from 20 or from 31. Okay, 31. I've done a little research here, and I've found that the 31 room connects with a two-way passage to 23. Okay, so the way I put this passage in the dungeon is I click on the 31 and it puts a little box around it, and then notice this little triangle shape down here in the bottom of the box. Click and drag from that triangle and it adds another box. So I'm going to swing that next box right up here, that next room, and that's supposed to be the 23 room. And so I put in 23. I've done a little work, and I know that 23 is 10111, and that definitely is one change removed from 31. So they're connected, and it's a two-way connection because I can go from 23 to 31 by changing the 0 to a 1, and then by changing that same 1 to a 0, I get back to 23. So that's a two-way connection. So I want to illustrate that with a two-way arrow. So I'm going to highlight this, make sure it's highlighted. Then I'm going to go up to relationship and insert a relationship. And what that does, that gives me this red line that I can use to connect the two rooms. Places a spline in there. I'm going to just tinker with those anchors of the spline. Just make that line a little more straight there. And then I can actually take this guy, I think, and move it around a little bit. Give myself a little room. Okay, so my connection is in there, but it's a one-way. It's a one-way arrow, so I'm going to click back on the spline. Need to change it to a two-way arrow, so with the spline connected, go back to relationship, go to arrows, two-way, there it is, and I'm going to beef it up a little bit, add the weight, bump it up to 5 pixels, and there it is. Okay. Anytime you make a mistake, if you add a room or a spline or something you don't want, just highlight it and hit delete. Okay. So anyway, we've illustrated that two-way connection. Okay. Now, I've also done a little more research, and you saw this in the pin cast. I know that 23 connects with 7 with a one-way door. So I'm going to illustrate that again from 23. I'm going to click and drag this triangle. Oops. See, this is all part of the plan. I didn't want to do it that way. I've added something I don't want. Make sure it's highlighted and hit delete. Okay. What I want is instead make sure this is highlighted and insert a relationship. Relationship. Boom. I'm going to connect it over here to the 7 room. Adds a big long spline there. I'm going to move it around a little bit. And it's a one-way arrow. That's the one I want, right? Okay. I want a one-way arrow. Because I can get from 23 to 7 by changing this 1 to a 0. So 0, 0, 1, 1, 1 is 7. But I can't go from a 7 to a 23 because that would require placing a 1 and a 0 in the front. So I'm happy with the one-way arrow. I'm just going to make it a little thicker. We're going to weight and 5 pixels. Okay, there's a one-way passage. So I can walk through this dungeon this way, and I can get take that secret passage from 23 back to 7, but I can't go from 7 to 23 directly without going through all these rooms. fighting all the dragons, raiding all the loot, and doing all that stuff that I do. Okay, I'm going to add. So I'm going to add one more thing here. I know, because I've done a little work here, that there's another room branching off from 23. I'm not going to tell you what it is. So I'm going to leave that blank. So these two places where there are question marks are where you will pick up adding to the dungeon. There will be dead ends, there will be trapdoors, there will be connections. That's what we want to find. Let's see what we can do. We can make this space very, very large, and let's see how far we can get over this next 6 weeks. Anyway, have fun with that. Just post right here in this mind map, and again, you might want to keep a paper copy of this, and so in case something goes drastically wrong. Anyway, there you go. Let's have some fun.